Okay, let's begin with liquidity, our ability to pay short-term bills. The numbers show a major decline. First, the current ratio. In 2022, we were strong at 2.33 times, meaning we had RM2.33 for every ringgit of short-term debts. This declined slightly in 2023 to 2.11 times, but then in 2024, it fell dramatically to 1.17 times. These sharp drops means our margin of safety has almost vanished. Next, the quick ratio, the acid test. This excludes inventory, making it a stricter test. It held steady at 1.44 times in 2022 and 1.545 times in 2023. However, in 2024, it plunged to 0.77 times. A ratio below 1 is a major red flag. It tells us we cannot cover our immediate debts using only our most liquid asset. The conclusion here is clear. Liquidity is the single biggest and most urgent issue facing the company. Okay, now let's look at efficiency, how well we manage assets. Starting with the inventory turnover ratio, this improved from 2 times in 2022 to a more efficient 2.63 times in 2023. But it dropped back to 2.28 times in 2024, suggesting inconsistency in inventory management. Okay, next is the average collection period, which is vital for the cash flow. This measures how long it takes customer to pay us. In 2022, it was 131 days. This improved in 2023 to 121 days. However, in 2024, the period shot up to 150 days. This is nearly a 5-month delay in receiving cash for our sale. This delay directly fuels our liquidity crisis. Finally, total asset turnover, which tells us how much revenue we get from our asset. It was 0.5 times in 2022 and slightly improved to 0.52 times in 2023. But in 2024, it decreased to 0.47 times. Our assets are simply not generating sales as effectively as they should.
Next, debt ratio. The debt ratio tells us how much of the company's assets are financed by liabilities. So the formula is total liabilities divided by total assets and then multiplied by 100. Over the 3 years, the debt ratio increased steadily. It increased from 52% in 2022 to 65% in 2024. This means Aurora Prime is relying more on borrowed funds, which increase financial risk and reduce financial stability. Next, moving on to time interest earned. This ratio shows how many times the company's earnings can cover its interest expenses. So the formula is earnings before interest and taxes divided by interest expenses. So it was 5 times in 2022, but the ratio dropped over time to 2.38 in 2024. This means the company's earnings are barely enough to cover all the interest they have. This could make it harder for them to borrow money in the future. Next is net profit margin. Net profit margin shows how much profit the company keeps from each ringgit of sales. The formula is net income divided by revenue, then multiplied by 100. It dropped from 7.2% in 2022 to 3.17% in 2024, which means the company is earning less profit from its sales. This could be due to higher costs or lower efficiency. Next, return on assets. So, return on asset tells us how well the company used its asset to generate profit. The formula is net income divided by total assets and then multiplied by 100. It dropped from 3.6% in 2022 to 1.5% in 2024, showing that the company's assets are not being used effectively to create income. So next is return on equity. Return on equity shows how much profit is earned from the shareholders' equity. The formula is net income divided by the total equity and then multiplied by 100. The return dropped over the 3 years from 7.5% in 2022 to 4.25% in 2024, meaning that the shareholders are getting less value from the investment in the company.
Next, I will present question 1 part 2, which is about evaluating the financial performance of Aurora Prime Berhad over 3 years from 2022 to 2024. The first is cash flow capability. Based on the ratio analysis, the company liquidity position has weakened. The current ratio dropped from 2.33 times in 2022 to only 1.17 times in 2024, and the quick ratio also fell below 1. This means Aurora Prime may face difficulties in paying its short-term debts because of higher short-term borrowings and slower cash collection. The second is asset management efficiency. In terms of asset management, the company average collection period increased to 150 days in 2024, showing customers are taking longer to pay. Inventory turnover improved slightly in 2023 but dropped again in 2024. Total asset turnover also declined, meaning the company's assets were used less effectively to generate revenue. The last one is debt management. The debt ratio increased from 52% to 65% over 3 years, showing higher dependence on borrowed funds. At the same time, the times interest earned ratio dropped to 2.4 times, which means the company is finding harder to cover its interest expenses. This shows Aurora Prime faces higher financial risk. Based on this evaluation, our group has suggested 3 initiatives to improve Aurora Prime's financial performance. The first one is improve cash flow and working capital. Firstly, the company should strengthen its cash flow management. They can lighten credit control, offer discounts, early payments, and use better inventory control to avoid overstocking. This will help improve liquidity and reduce cash flow pressure. Second, optimize capital structure and debt management. Aurora Prime should reduce its reliance on loans. It can use retained earning or equity instead of taking on more debt. Also, the company should renegotiate short-term loans into long-term loans to lower interest costs and reduce financial stress. Third, enhance profitability and efficiency. Lastly, to improve profitability, Aurora Prime should focus on cost efficiency and expanding revenue. This can be done through automation, controlling expenses, and diversifying its digital products and services to reach more customers. By doing this, the company can increase its profit margin and improve long-term performance. In conclusion, Aurora Prime Berhad needs to improve its cash flow, manage its debt wisely, and focus on cost efficiency to strengthen its financial position in the future.
So for question number 2, compare the performance of Aura Prime Berhad with the industry average 2024. As we can see, the table state that there's a current ratio, quick ratio, total asset turnover, average collection period, and debt ratio for industry performance and Aura performance in 2022, 2023, and 2024. So for the next question is, show the impact on net profit margin. Assuming net income in 2023 increased by 30% while revenue remains the same. Explain. First, we will calculate new net income, which is 30 over 100 times with 180 plus with 180, and we will get 234 for the new net income. For the net profit margin, we will calculate it using the formula net income over revenue times with 100. And we put the new net income into the formula and we get 234 over 2,500 and times with 100. And net profit margin will be 9.36%. For the explanation, Although revenue stayed the same, the 30% increase in net income improved the net profit margin significantly from 7.2% to 9.36%. It means the company is now keeping more profit from each 1 ringgit of sales, showing better cost control, improved efficiency, or otherwise the company is making more money from the same sales.